A white cowboy cut an Apache woman's dress in the middle of a raging river, and 3 riders saw only what happened next. By the following day, nearly 500 Apache riders were standing outside his ranch, while their leader asked Ethan one question that could change everything. Why had they really come? And what happened when the truth finally came out? Watch the full video and subscribe to our page to find out. Before we start the story, tell me in the comments, where are you listening from, and what time is right now? Some people believe a single cut can start a war, but on the frontier, one cut could also save a life. Ethan Walker was a quiet 34-year-old cattleman who lived alone on a ranch 12 miles outside Red Creek. He was not a man who looked for trouble. He believed hard work solved more problems than a fast gun ever could. One afternoon, everything changed. Dark clouds rolled over Blackstone Canyon, thunder shook the cliffs, and heavy rain began turning the peaceful river into a wild, rushing wall of water. Ethan was moving his cattle toward higher ground when he heard something through the storm. A cry. "Help!" He turned toward the river. Between broken branches and white water, a woman was fighting desperately against the current. Her long black hair disappeared beneath the waves, then appeared again. Ethan did not stop to think. He jumped from his horse and ran into the freezing water. The current pushed against him with unbelievable force, but Ethan kept moving until he reached the woman. She was an Apache woman named Ayanna. Her traditional dress had become trapped around fallen branches beneath the water. Every time she struggled, the cloth tightened. Ethan grabbed a branch with one hand and reached for her with the other. The current was dragging them toward the rocks. There was no time. Ethan pulled out his hunting knife and cut through the trapped fabric. The cloth came free. The river carried them several more feet before Ethan finally dragged Ayanna onto a muddy patch of shore. Ayanna was exhausted and breathing hard. Ethan immediately lowered the knife and turned away, giving her privacy. But before he could ask if she was safe, he heard something that made him freeze. Hoofbeats. High on the canyon ridge stood 3 Apache riders. From where they were, they saw only one thing: a white cowboy holding a knife beside an Apache woman whose dress had been cut open. They had not seen the river. They had not seen the branches. They had not seen Ethan save her life. The 3 riders turned their horses and disappeared into the rain. Ethan had no idea what they believed they had witnessed. He built a small fire beneath a rock ledge and gave Ayanna a blanket. He kept his back turned while she dried herself. After several quiet minutes, she finally spoke. "You could have left me." Ethan stared into the fire. That was never an option. She looked at him carefully. "My name is Ayanna." Ethan Walker. For the first time, some of the fear left her eyes. Before sunset, Ethan offered to take her toward the trail leading to Apache territory. Ayanna accepted. They rode together in silence until they reached an old cottonwood tree. "My people will find me here," Ayanna said. Ethan handed her the blanket. "The nights are still cold." A small smile appeared on Ayanna's face. Then she removed a braided leather bracelet from her wrist. Tiny blue beads were woven into it. "Keep this," she told him. "One day it may remind someone that truth travels slower than fear." Ethan accepted it without knowing how important those words would become. By sunrise, the rumors had already reached Red Creek. 3 Apache riders had seen a white cowboy beside an Apache woman with a knife in his hand and her dress cut apart. By noon, the story had changed. People whispered when Ethan entered the trading post. The blacksmith ignored him. Even people who had known him for years suddenly looked at him differently. Nobody had seen what happened at the river. Fear had arrived before the truth. Ethan did not argue. He returned to his ranch and continued working. That night, he placed his hunting knife inside a wooden drawer. Beside it, he placed Ayana's blue beaded bracelet. Then he stepped onto his porch and looked toward the western hills. Far in the darkness, tiny campfires began appearing. One, then several, then dozens. Ethan stood there quietly, wondering who was coming. The next morning, a ranch hand came racing toward him. He pointed west with a trembling hand. Ethan looked. At first, it was only dust. Then another cloud appeared. Then another. Soon the entire western horizon seemed to be moving. By midday, people in Red Creek were standing outside their stores, staring at the enormous dust clouds. Nobody knew how many riders were coming. Some said 20. Others said more than 100. But by afternoon, the truth became impossible to ignore. Nearly 500 Apache riders appeared across the valley overlooking Ethan's ranch. Ethan stood outside his cabin. His horse shifted nervously beside him. But Ethan did not reach for his gun. He simply waited. Then a familiar figure rode out from the center of the riders. Ayana. She was wearing a freshly repaired dress. The stitches were careful, but one long seam remained visible where Ethan had cut the cloth. She had not hidden it. She had chosen to keep it visible. Ayana dismounted and walked toward Ethan. Behind her came an elderly Apache chief with silver hair hanging in 2 long braids. The entire valley went silent. The chief stopped before Ethan. "Are you Ethan Walker?" "I am." The chief looked at Ayana. "Did you cut my daughter's dress?" Ethan did not lie. "Yes." "Did she give you permission?" Ethan lowered his eyes. There was no time to ask. The river had trapped the cloth beneath the branches. I believed she would not survive unless I cut it. The chief said nothing. The silence felt heavier than thunder. Then Ayana stepped beside Ethan. She touched the repaired seam of her dress. "This is not a mark of shame," she said. Her voice was calm but strong. "This is why I am standing here." She told everyone what had really happened: the freezing water, the hidden branches, the cloth trapping her beneath the current, and Ethan choosing her life over the dress. Then she explained something else. "He turned away when I reached the shore. He gave me warmth. He gave me space. He asked for nothing." Ethan reached into his pocket and pulled out the braided bracelet. Ayana smiled. "Truth travels slower than fear," she said. "But today, truth has finally arrived." The chief slowly nodded. Ayana then opened a buckskin bundle. Inside was the torn section of her original dress and the broken branches that had trapped her beneath the water. She lifted one branch. "This held me beneath the river." The settlers on the ridge stared in silence. The chief turned toward Ethan. "A knife can destroy," he said. "But that same knife can also set someone free. Wisdom lives in the hand that holds it." Ethan answered quietly, "I only did what I hoped another person would have done for me." Those words changed the valley. The blacksmith lowered his head. The storekeeper could no longer meet Ethan's eyes. They suddenly understood how quickly they had believed a story without knowing the truth. But the biggest moment had not yet come. The chief stepped forward and placed a feathered staff into the earth. Then he removed his own ceremonial knife and placed it beside the staff. The elders followed. Ethan watched in confusion. Then the chief raised one hand. One by one, the Apache riders climbed down from their horses. Nearly 500 men stood beside their mounts. Then they all lowered to one knee. The entire valley seemed to stop breathing. Ethan stared at them, overwhelmed. He removed his hat and held it against his chest. "I never wanted anyone to bow because of me," he whispered. Ayanna looked at him warmly. "They are not bowing to you alone. They are honoring the choice you made when nobody was watching." The chief nodded. "Character is measured in moments without witnesses." The words touched Ethan deeply. There had been no crowd at the river. No one had been watching. Ethan had simply chosen to help someone who needed him. Now hundreds of people were honoring that choice. The chief then turned toward the settlers. "Today, no debt is collected. No punishment is given. We did not come to demand justice. We came to witness it." The blacksmith was the first settler to approach Ethan. He removed his hat. "Mr. Walker," he said with shame in his voice, "I believed a story before I believed the man I had known for years. I was wrong." Ethan looked at him and simply nodded. "Sometimes that is enough." Others came forward. The storekeeper apologized. A neighboring rancher admitted he had repeated rumors without knowing the facts. Even the stagecoach driver confessed that fear had traveled faster than common sense. Ayanna watched quietly. She understood that an apology freely given was worth more than one forced by shame. As the sun began to fall, the Apache riders prepared to leave. But before Ayanna rode away, she returned to Ethan alone. She handed him a small buckskin bundle. Inside was his hunting knife, but it was no longer the same. Someone had made a beautiful leather sheath for it, decorated with blue beads matching her bracelet. Ethan stared at it. "I thought this belonged with your people now." Ayanna smiled. "No, it belongs with the man who remembered why it was made." Ethan touched the beadwork. "I only carried an ordinary tool." Ayanna looked toward the river in the distance. "Ordinary tools become extraordinary when guided by compassion." Then she took the braided bracelet and tied it around the handle of the knife. "Keep them together," she said. "One reminds you what saved a life. The other reminds you why." Ethan wanted to say something, but the words would not come. Ayanna climbed onto her horse. She gave him one final respectful look before riding toward the western hills. Ethan watched until she disappeared. Years later, travelers often stopped at Ethan's ranch for water, directions, or shelter. Many noticed the old hunting knife hanging above his fireplace. They always asked why such an ordinary knife had a place of honor. Ethan would smile and point toward the blue-beaded bracelet tied around its handle. "Sometimes people only see the cut," he would say. "They forget to ask what it set free." And that became the lesson people carried from his ranch. Because fear may travel faster than truth, rumors may arrive before facts. But in the end, real character is revealed by what a person does when nobody is watching. And sometimes, one simple act of compassion can change not only one life, but an entire valley. Thank you so much for watching this story all the way till the end. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and share it with your friends. It really helps us a lot. If you want to watch more exciting stories like this, don't forget to subscribe our page right now. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from and what time is right now? And if this story touched your heart, please send some stars. Every single star gives us huge motivation to keep creating more amazing videos for you. See you in the next story. Take care of you, friends.